I hope I'm visible, my screen is visible, etc. etc. Okay. So, yeah, as I said, so I will just briefly 10-15 minutes try to cover what are the various avenues for incubation and entrepreneurship at IIT Hyderabad. Okay. So, firstly, I think setting the context. Uh, Commercialization is always possible once you have an idea. Okay, you can give it to your industry, you can do IP transfer or technology transfer, etc. And you can do it through R&D office. Or you can, instead of giving it to a company, you can own it yourself and you can create your own company and champion the idea through the incubation cell and through entrepreneurship. And I think when we mean the complete innovation and entrepreneurship, we are referring to this. Okay, so if you have some technology and if you want to transfer it, etc., it is standard. Okay, so there is IP licensing and there is technology transfer from the R&D section. What we are interested or what we would encourage also is you're not just developing a technology, but also taking up the responsibility to convert that into a business entity with you as a member. Okay, I think that is where we are looking at. Okay, so so there are various entrepreneurship related activities at IIT Hyderabad. ESL does the student activities, entrepreneurship department does the minor, deep tech and dual degree. IP cell helps you in patenting and technology transfer. Dean R&D office comes in facilitating all the projects and technology. Incubation cell kind of helps in different nascent businesses. And of course, you have research firm. But mainly, I would say there are three major entities. Entrepreneurship department, when it comes to handling entrepreneurship in an academic. Okay, so when there are credits involved, when there are courses involved, it is entrepreneurship department. When ESL is like as a student activity, as an informal set of activities, where there are no requirements or no this thing. But to encourage more and more good culture of entrepreneurship in the students. That's the reason. And where we come in is essentially where you want to formalize that journey. Okay, so I think basically by the time you kind of want to do that formally, legally also. Okay, that is where we come in. And so naturally, I think there is a long journey for a startup to a long journey for the startup. Okay, so you have an idea, then you understand the basics of the idea, then you create the prototype, then you test whether the prototype is viable, then you scale up and sustain as a startup. Okay, so these are what we call as germination stage, incubation stage, pre-incubation, acceleration. So mainly where we come is in the second stage. Okay, so if you have general entry about entrepreneurship, general entry about incubation and all, that is where ESL, that is where department, etc. help you. But once you have fixed that, yes, this is the problem I wish to work on, and this is the theme or product I wish to work on, then incubation cell comes into the picture where we handhold you and kind of take it to your logical conclusion. And of course, other stages are for mature. Okay. And so there are different incubators at IIT Hyderabad, the CFHE with focus on healthcare, FCI with focus on electronics, and ITIC is the default, the TST recognized one, where all deep tech elements are allowed. Okay. So there are, so different incubators. Okay. And I think, so we have been doing fairly good. Okay. So we have supported close to 70 startups in the last 5-6 years, and given funds to close to 5 crores from the different startups, and helped raise close to 100 crores to the startups in different revenues, etc. I think, directly, indirectly, we are responsible for 800 jobs through the startups. And of course, we also have some new TIP technology incubation park coming up shortly. So, what is our mandate? Our mandate is, imagine one student or a faculty with a brilliant technical idea, but clueless about anything else, clueless about how to make it be a business. What is the nature of the product? How to go to the market? How to find funding for it? Okay, and that is where we come. We help the student or the faculty taking the technical idea into a business product. Okay, so for example, I mean, you have some excellent robot idea or excellent printer idea. Okay, we help converting that into a commercial entity, commercial model, and also kind of help you in reaching out for ideas, reaching out for mentorship, reaching out for funding, reaching out for clearances, permissions, legalities, regulations, etc. Okay. So what we do is provide a small working space and basic facilities, because in the beginning, if you want to make a company, a business address is very important. You can't just use your house address for starting a company. Okay, you need a business address, and we provide that business address. We provide that basic, so to say, permissions, and we also have good connect with various different mentorships. So, for example, I mean, many times we are very good in research, but we have almost no clue in some occasions on how to sell it. What is the business feedback? So we have a strong business mentors. We have a tie-up with CII. We have tie-ups with a lot of various CEOs of different companies. We have tie-ups with Telangana government, even other state governments, or regulatory bodies, how to certify your product, etc., etc. Also, okay, that connects. We can provide you. We also have a chartered accountant, a CA, etc. So how to form a company, how to register, etc. Also, we can help you all that. And we also give you technical assistance to nurture that idea. Naturally, I think this is in a way connected with the students. With the faculty, I mean, I think our technical contribution is, I mean, frankly, not really significant. You are the master of the domain, and I don't presume to know more than that. So our role in technical is only facilitative in nature. Okay, so let us say, how do you ensure that you have the IP rights? How do you ensure that you have the permissions to use the lab facilities, etc.? And of course, we do provide some seed funding. This is fairly good enough for most students. For faculty, I would say, I mean, yes or no. We do provide, but I think, I mean, let us look at funding from incubator as a backup option. Okay, so typically, because most of the schemes and most of the funds we get are from government schemes, and most of the situations, the rule here is one must be a full-time entrepreneur to get this funding. Okay, so I mean, so he or she is a startup who is a full-time startup. Okay, so we don't really qualify in many such situations. We are part-time entrepreneurs. We are not full-time entrepreneurs. Okay, so so the number of options are comparatively less. Students, there are a lot more funding options. So, for example, I mean, if you and your student are doing together, okay, if you apply, the chance is very minimal, I would say. Okay, but if your student applies, there are a fairly decent chances that he or she may be eligible. Okay, so that difference is there. But yes, some funding opportunities are also there. And in return for all this, we take 3 to 5%. 6. We've made it 5 now from 6. Okay, so 3 to 6% of the equity in the startup. So that means we don't charge a single penny in rent. We don't charge a single penny for all the facilities we are giving. Only we take a share in your company. If your company is successful, our share increases. If your company and idea is not successful, I mean, we are also in it together. So we are in it together in your success and in your failure. Okay, and that is how we are kind of, I mean, that is the business model. So you don't really need to put anything there. Okay, you don't need to give us anything in any cash or any prior commitments. So I mean, so what is deep tech? I think basically, kirana shop is also a business. Furniture shop is also a business. Okay, but we are not looking at those businesses. We are looking at places where there is a significant value addition technical. Okay, so there should be a good amount of technical component into the business. Okay, so I mean, so it may be nano filtration, it may be a machine for AI processing, it can be drone, it can be battery technology, etc. etc. Okay, different technologies. Let's go to the other extreme also. Okay, you cannot also, we don't fund pure R&D. Our question is always simple. If I give you 10 rupees, what is the confidence and what is the roadmap that you can tell me the 10 rupees will become 100 rupees? Okay, so we only fund where there is a product and where there is a commercial entity. Okay, so I mean, so it may be a greatest thesis. Okay, no question. But until that thesis has the potential to be converted into a product and have commercial prospect in the market, okay, we don't touch it. Okay, so that is, I mean, typically, I mean, so it must have commercial potential. So I think, I mean, so these are some examples. Okay. So you have a lot of schemes, lot of terms. So you have Nidhi Accelerator, Nidhi Prayas, NMDC, BEL, TIAM, etc., etc. Okay. Don't worry about all this. Okay. Right now, what we have done is get rid of all this. We have a common application portal with open timeline. Okay. So you can go to our website anytime in the year. Okay. You can just look at the application. Drop your application, and you can drop it for all the various programs or multiple programs, etc. And it is our responsibility to figure out which program you are suitable and which program you are best suited. Okay, so I think, I mean, so it's not like you applied to the wrong place, you applied to the wrong application form, etc. You just go to the website, fill in your data anytime in the year you want. Okay, and then it is our responsibility to see where you fit, how you fit, and how best we can help. Okay, and I mean, of course, we have some queries. We'll get back to you and take your consent before doing it. But I mean, you don't have to worry. That is our responsibility to kind of make you understand all this. Okay. So for students, I think there are different academic routes. There is IEP project, semester internships, semester leaves, etc. And also formal routes and other things are there. But faculty, I would say essentially, if you imagine how a faculty is interacting with the startup. Okay, so a faculty can be owner of a startup. A faculty can be on a member of the startup. So for example, even though he may not be the owner, but maybe 2%, 3% equity share may be there. Or the faculty may be a mentor. Just, I mean, tum kaam kar lo, I will just help you some ideas. Or it can be also like, look, I don't want to be on the startup, but I will spend, let us say, 10 hours with you, and you pay, let us say, 1,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, whatever it be, as a consultant. Okay, so these are the various manners in which a faculty can interact with the startup. Okay. Now C and D, we don't come into the picture. Okay. C anyway, it is free, so no point. D is like, it is a company and you are a consultant. Okay, so that company can be Tata Steel, that company can be a two-day-old startup also. Okay, so it is purely consultation where there is no legality between these two. So it is channeled through R&D section. Where this policy comes into the picture is you are not just helping and interacting with the startup, but you are part of the startup. You are a member of the startup. Is where we are, essentially looking at this. Okay, so in that situation, okay, you as a faculty are allowed to be part of that startup. Not just that, you can be part of the startup even with a CEO or a COO position also. Okay, executive position also. Okay, so I mean, so I think it almost took us one close year. Okay, close to a year. Okay, he drafted, then Senate, Board of Governors, Finance Committee, Minister of Education queries, etc., etc. Okay, having gone through all that, now it is ratified. Okay, so yes. Okay, so the confusion is no longer there. Yes, you can form a company which the profits of which you can take home. It is your company. Okay, it is not IIT's company. It is your personal company. Okay, and you can be part of that company even in an executive or a COO position, etc. Also, of course, I mean, it cannot be a salaried employee. You can have an honorary position because I mean it contradicts with the double salary employee rules, etc. But I mean, yes, you can be an advisory role or an honorary. Okay, yeah, as long as you spend 20% of your office time. Okay, so that is the simple rule. Okay, so what we have said is, look, Already there is a norm in IIT, a faculty can spend up to 20% of their office time in consultancy or in outreach, etc. Okay. And why in some XYZ Tata Steel and Boeing or some GE, etc. Why not in their own company? Okay, so that is the idea. So you can spend in any other consultancy with a different company or your own company. It does not matter. So 20% is for you to use it in a commercial manner, your technical skills in a commercial manner. How you use it, you have the freedom. Okay, and I mean, it's not really something, I mean, as a favor. Okay, I think in the bigger, longer run, we see a lot of trickle down advantage to the Indian economy and system. Okay, so I mean, so if I only look at a very small, like 20% my employee, etc., that is fine. But if we look at a bigger ecosystem and the advantage it brings, I think this is a naturally a natural extension. Okay, so and also the other thing is clarity with the IP. Okay, so I think again, all of you know, anything you or your student does is IP ownership is with IIT. Okay, anything your brain belongs to IIT, my brain belongs to IIT. Okay, and it's true with any IIT. Okay, so there is always this problem when you start a venture. Okay, there is a, I mean, but IP is owned by the IIT. Okay, whereas I am not really owning, the startup does not own the IP, etc. Okay, so what we have done is a 2% additional equity. The IIT will transfer the complete license of the IP to the startup. Okay, and it is clear value and clear this thing. Okay, so the startup. So, for example, you are a part of the startup. The startup will own the complete IP licensing rights also. Okay, and there is no ambiguity, there is no gray area there. It is at an additional equity of 2%. So, total you give us, for example, 5%, 3% for basic equity incubation, and 2% for IP. And with 5% of IP, you get the rights to be CO, you get the rights to be yeah, I mean, it's anyway also a permission for you to engage in commercial activities. Okay, you get the complete IP rights.
So Surya, this 2% also is a dilutable or non-dilutable?
Not dilutable. Not dilutable.
So it is a non-dilutable, right?
It is non-dilutable. Yes, it is non-dilutable. Correct.
And what about the, like, suppose DRDO and those things, you develop the IPs on the sponsor project, it will become under that same umbrella or need approval for the other sponsor agency to commercialize?
I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay, sure.
Okay. Okay.
So I think, I mean, so this is essentially kind of the clarity on the IP. Okay, the IP ownership will be there with the startup or the company. Okay, so that is essentially kind of the idea here. Okay, so these are the various salient points of the innovation policy. Okay, and as I said, I think, I mean, the whole idea here is, you see, all these are clearly kind of, I mean, there is no ambiguity. Okay, so everything is listed. So what is that you can do? What is that you're not permitted to do? Okay, so all these you can, I mean, go through the document and all these details. In fact, including what the equity shares, etc. Also, okay, I think, I mean, see, one of the major concerns is people, nobody puts their values and shares in the company. Okay, but you are the ones. Okay, because frankly, you are also the lowest. Okay, so Kanpur charges around 8% to 10%. Bombay charges up to 6%. They're the only guys who charge up to 3% and with IP with 5%, etc. Okay, so but yes. Okay, so the major advantage or major push we are looking is you have a clear and a predictable role. Okay, so it's not the doing a thing in a IIT. Okay, it is this committees, and then one committee will say it, and then that committee will decide and present your presentation, and then afterwards it will this thing. Then there are some gray areas. Okay, so what we have attempted is clear cut. Okay, this is the value. This is uniform across. Does not matter. Maybe we will save some penny there. We will lose some penny elsewhere. Okay, but what you have is clearly, yes, this is what you can do. and this is how much it will cost. This is what you cannot do. Okay, I think that is the whole intent of the whole IP policy. Okay. So maybe so that's kind of my quick